What do Robin Williams, Heath Ledger, Amy Winehouse, and Kurt Cobain all have in common? They all suffered with mental illness/addiction. A lot of people don't realize that addiction is a part of mental illness, but they are very much correlated. Today, I will be speaking to you about the growing mental illness epidemic in the USA. From a study done in 2018, they found that 19.1% of US adults experience mental illness. That's 46.7 million people. This represents 1 in every 5 adults. Mental illness is something I've become very passionate about over the last 3 years. After my 28th birthday in 2016, I was plagued with a horrendous bout of depression and anxiety. My whole world was flipped upside down. I quit a job I loved in the medical field, canceled my wedding, and lost my beautiful home, all because my brain stopped working correctly. However, this wasn't my first run-in with mental illness. When I was 10 years old, I was diagnosed with contamination OCD. I washed my hands compulsively all day and every day until they would eventually become raw and they'd bleed. Thankfully, my stint with OCD went dormant until, like I said, the age of 28. Now, it is something I live with every day, and although I'll never completely be okay, I am doing much better. This certificate is something I will always hold near and dear to my heart. I earned this certificate when I did an 8-week class for mental health. There was a time in my life when I was going through a really rough patch. I needed to seek help professionally. I did a course in 8 weeks, and by doing that, I was able to learn mindfulness, meet others, and hear stories about people just like me. And most importantly, I received the tools and education on why and how I can control my depression and anxiety. Before I ever got sick, mental health was something I was clueless about and pretty judgmental, which is pretty normal. A lot of people don't understand that what goes on inside your mind is just as important as what physically goes on with your body. I didn't understand why others couldn't snap out of it or change for their family, especially with addiction. It's hard to look at a family who's addicted, especially if they have kids, and understand why they can't quit for their kids. I'm here to tell you that when you are in that frame of mind, you would give anything to stop the pain. But it's like a never-ending rainstorm over your head. My goal is to help lower the stigma around mental health and to educate others along the way. Half of all mental health disorders begin by the age of 14, and 3/4 by age 24. In the US, almost half of adults, 46.7%, will experience a mental illness during their lifetime. Lastly, 5% of adults 18 or older experience a mental illness in any 1 year. These statistics come from mentalhealthfirstaid.org. I found the numbers to be astonishing. Something I think everyone can agree on is that there is definitely stigma around the mental illness epidemic. If you're someone like me who wants to be a part of the movement to help destigmatize mental illness, then there are definitely things you can do. Talk openly about mental health. Don't be ashamed of who you are or what your problems are. You have no idea how much of an impact your story can have on someone else. In the past 3 years, I've been a lot more transparent about myself. One of the biggest issues we have nowadays is social media. Social media can present itself to people that you're doing really great, but on the inside, it's not that at all. I've become pretty transparent about my journey with mental illness, and I've become quite a huge advocate for it. And because of this, I've helped a lot of people along the way, and I'm pretty proud of that. Do not shame others for having to take medication. Not everyone is going to benefit from yoga, exercise, or meditation. Most have a chemical imbalance and depend on their meds to help them feel better. You should put mental illness in the same category as physical illness. Just because you can't see what's going on through somebody doesn't mean it's not there. I really hope you retain some of the information I told you today. Don't silence yourself if you are struggling. Lean on to family and friends for support. And if you don't have support, there are lots of avenues you can take to get help. I challenge you all to think before you speak or judge someone just because of their diagnosis. In closing, emotional pain is not something that should be hidden away and never spoke about. There is truth in your pain, but only if it's first brought out into the open. That's a quote from Stephen Atchison, and I'm going to show you my certificate up closer. It says, what you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals.